Hello everyone, it's Platinum Aspiration here. So this tutorial is a long time in the making, but I'm glad that it waited because, I don't have to redo it and I don't have to, someone asked me about it. I don't have to be like, oh, well, I don't do it that way anymore, because I've been doing it this way for a while now and I feel confident today, so we're going to do a tutorial video. So you will need The Sims 2, particularly Body Shop. You will need Blender 2.79. You will need Milkshape. You will need Sims 4 Studio to extract everything. And you'll need a mesh that you want to convert. Well, it's not here. I can't find the link, but it's by this creator for Zinda. I'm so sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. These are from the Stuff Pack 34 First Fit kits that were converted from children to adults. Anyway, so while we have Sims 4 Studio open, we're going to go into My Projects, and you are going to route to your workshop area. I am working on Shorts, Jogger, Femme, and we need the Sims 4 file that we downloaded. We're going to put in a cheat code. Thank you, DD Sims. So you're going to press down Control-Shift-C. Then we're going to type in export all, no spaces, and hit OK. Ideally, what will happen is you'll get a folder that pops up. Wherever this guy is, it'll pop up in the same. We can go ahead and delete these. We can delete the specular and the preview photo. Let's go ahead and open up Blender 2.79. And we're going to go to Open. So we want our LOD file. And over in the outliner, this is your outliner over here. You're going to want to click on Studio or S4 Studio Mesh 1 and hit Tab to go into edit mode. And what we're going to do is go over to Tools. We're going to go down to the bottom where it says Remove and remove doubles. So what remove doubles will do is it will help to remove any sharp seams that the mesh may have. Now what we need to do is we want to get rid of the Sims 4 skin. The Sims skin. And when you have the mesh highlighted, you can do that by pressing A to deselect or A to select the whole thing. Your mesh will pop up, but every time you deselect it, it goes away. So one thing we need to do is come down here over by the UV mapping side, and you'll see a little box with 2 dots and an arrow. And it says keep UV and edit mode mesh selection in sync. Switch this over to faces. So there's vertex select, edge select, and face select. We want to go to faces. In this case, we want the top row gone and the legs gone. If you want, you can go to Open and then select your swatch, any one of them, and open image. So now you can see the pants that are attached. I can select all of these by pressing B, and when I press B, I can draw a box around the faces that I want to get rid of. And some of them weren't selected, so I'm going to hold down Shift and left mouse and click left mouse button to select the extra faces. Actually, you know what? Let's go over here. There we go. Look at that. Okay. Did I get it all? We'll find out. Okay. And then you come over to here, click with your middle mouse button if you want. Press delete on your keyboard and delete faces. So now what we are left with is the hole where they once were. And we need to do the same to the top. One thing I would like to do is keep the form of the pant. If I edit this to pull it down, obviously right here the mesh doesn't go down. So I could just, make it one flat, but I quite like the dip. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to move these down slowly, while also over here, this is doing the most. So if your pants are just already aligned, like most of them, most pants coming from Sims 4 will already be with, they won't have this midriff, whatever, this situation going on. So you don't have to go through all this. I will. Okay, I'm satisfied with that for now. Let's go ahead and delete our rig. We just want to delete the ones with the funnel or the upside down triangle. If you open it up, just delete this. We don't want the body. So now we're going to go up to File, and we're going to go to Import, Sims 2 GMDC. And I included in the description below, there's going to be a file. And it should say underscore bases, and within that there should be a full body underscore full body.5gd. We're going to go ahead and open that. So this will be our base sim. What we're going to do is click on body face. So expand on this body face. I did turn off the armature because we don't need to see the skeleton. But while we have body underscore face selected, we're going to go over to type of active data to display and edit material. Click on the material node. Go to new. And we're going to turn the intensity down. She's super intense. I like to keep it between like 2.5 to 3.0. Somewhere around there. Let's go a little bit darker today. But turn the intensity down. We're going to change the color of the mesh to something that's pretty vibrant. I'm going to go with puke green. Love that. You do not have to do that. If you want the scalp to be the same, I would suggest to click on the green bar or whatever you want and hex, and then copy the hex code. Remember the intensity that you had. Click on scalp, create new, and double click to change this to whatever the intensity you had. In my case, it was 0.26, and then diffuse. We're going to just paste our scalp. So now we have one big piece. Some people do leave the hips out like this. I have preferred lately not to do that, and just have it align with the Sims 2's frame. So first things first, we can go ahead and that. This button right here, it limits the selection to visible, or it allows you to see through it. So very much like Milkshape. And I want to be able to grab all of the vertices. And I just want to select where her butt starts to stick out. And select this. Now if I pull it now, nothing around it's going to move. And I kind of want it to move together. So with that, what I need to do is come back down here. You'll see a gray circle. This is proportional editing mode. And what this will allow you to do is to move surrounding vertices. So if you press G, while that is on, the whole thing's going to move right now. And the reason why is because you have a radius, and we need to reduce that radius. One way you can reduce it is using your mouse wheel. You can scroll up to reduce it, or you can scroll down to increase it. You can also, you have to press G to enable it. You can do page up to increase or page down to decrease. Let's go ahead and just move her back. And I just want to be able to cover what's needed. And I did go ahead and grab these because I want to move them back too to align with her, the middle of her. Oops. Decrease that. I don't want her to have a big old bubble butt, but we're gonna. Yeah, that's good. Now we don't want to have her waist that far, or excuse me, her front that far out. So we're gonna do the same thing. Okay, we're going cutting in, but that's fine because really what we need is to make sure that this is all lining up with the Sims 2 waist. One thing too that you can do besides just moving it, you can also scale. So if you press S on your keyboard, it'll bring up your radius. And so if you press S and then X, it'll move in. If you move in, it'll move out if you move out. So now we're going to come down here where we were in edit mode. We're going to go to sculpt mode. And over in this menu, we're going to increase our radius to about, 55 to 75 is good. And turn your strength down to about 2.35-ish. 2.3 to 2.5 on your strength is pretty good for this part. So one thing I want to do, now that I have like most of the front kind of where it sits where I want it, I want to get the hips. So we need to come over here into symmetry lock, and we need a mirror X. So whatever I do on one side is going to happen to the other. So with that, we're going to take her over to the side again once we have the mirror on. And holding down Control, we're just going to kind of drag this all in. I don't want to go too far because these are like basketball shorts. So going too far in, I don't want it to like curve in like I just did. There we go. So it stays predominantly the same shape below, but the waist is now more aligned to Sims 2. I'm gonna go ahead and bring this out just a bit. And cut that off there. And do one more. Yeah. So now it's a little bit more aligned to a Sims 2 waist. And while we're still in sculpt mode, I'm gonna go ahead and just pop that out. It goes up and then down. I don't like that. I either want it all up or all down. This line is where the Sims 2 top starts. So everything from here up is your tops. Everything from down here is your bottoms. So I think what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'll leave the bottom here, but I'm going to go ahead and kind of bring down the front just a bit. One thing we have to do is eventually, because the Sims 2 waist has fewer poly count than a Sims 4, like, okay, turn this back off. You can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's seven vertices down here. Now with your studio mesh, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9. So we need 7. So one thing I do, because these stick out fairly predominantly and it's right in the middle, I know that this is where I need to combine 2 vertices. If we merge these tools and then merge, and you can merge at the center or wherever you want it to go, I'm going to go to the center. I usually use Alt-M to bring up the menu. So going over here, pressing Alt-M at center. And bring that forward just a little bit. Now what happens with that, and I don't know if we'll be able to see it really because this mesh is pretty singular. It doesn't have a lot of patterns. Oh, yeah, you can. Okay, hide the body. So you see here how the mesh, or excuse me, the texture now is merged and it goes into the texture is starting to bend according to where we merged it. And when we come over to here to the UV map, you'll see that they're split. I can come over here. Sometimes remove doubles works. In this case, it didn't. That's fine. But we can come over here and weld it. We're going to do that again for the other side. So Alt M again, because this is mirroring this and I want it to connect right here. I do bring it out just a little bit. Right, so now we have 7 vertices. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're good on the front. The sides, you have 1 vertex here, you have 1 vertex here, and then you have like 1 here. So let's take a look at that. Yeah, so this will align, and then you have 2 around here, and then you have, I think, 2 around here, right? So what I do with this is, again, we're going to merge these. If you want to count them, please do. But for my sake, where the seam, the middle part, the middle seam is at, it's usually these 2 right here. So Alt M at the center. Now, and then over here again, here's the middle, the seam. These 2, I'm holding down Shift, left mouse button to click, Alt M at the center. And we can come back over here, find the ones we edited, which are the blank spots, and try remove doubles, if not weld. And if not weld. And I want to bring this down just a smidge because it's sitting right on the line of the... Hey, I didn't say split. Okay. So now we just have 2 extra, right? So let's look at our body. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have a middle and then 2 on each side. So we have the middle and then 1 on each side. So these will be your 3 in the, basically your 3 right around the crack. And then we have 2 more over here. So let's go ahead and merge these 2. Right, so we're going to weld those. And then we're going to do the same over here. Shift. And then Alt M for the center. And then we're going to weld it again. Right, so now we have the right amount of vertices in the right spots. So with that, as long as our mesh looks good, as far as shape goes, we can edit it later. But as of right now, I think we're good to go. Make sure that you have it selected. And then we're going to export as a wavefront object because we don't have any joints or anything that we need to worry about. Down here at the bottom where it says export OBJ, you want it selection only and smooth groups. So then we can go ahead and export to where it came from. And let's just minimize this for right now. Okay, so in our workshop now, we will have this object file, 3D object file. You can delete the MTL file like I just did. Now we're going to go into Milkshape, File, Import, and scroll down to Sims 2 Unimesh Import. So we're going to go to Bases. I'm in my workshop. I'm going to go to that file _ bases. And we're going to pull up AF bottom naked. About did it twice. No, I don't want morphs. Yes, I want my skin weights corrected. Now we go to File, Import, Wavefront Object, and find our object. Oh, there we go. See how nice it looks. Colored groups. So one thing that happened because we removed doubles is we got dark spots. So with that in mind, I want to correct that before we move on. We're going to hop back into Blender, go to Tab, and I'm going to hide the body, and we're going to select Faces, and with our UV map, these should be I'm just going to select one, yep, and there he is. So hold down B on your UV map, and select all of those, so now the bottom is selected, and we're going to split the edge so that it no longer has black spots. We're going to press Y. So now we're going to export as a wavefront object again. It should have kept your settings, and we're just going to save it right over our previous one. So go back to Milkshape, delete your default File, Import Wavefront Object. What we're going to do is get our joints, or name it group underscore base. So now you should have bottom and group underscore base. We're going to go ahead and delete this bottom, and then we're going to export, File, Export, TSRW Object. And in the same folder, we're going to name this Adult Female Needs Joints, or AFNJ. Press Ctrl Z to bring back your legs. And from the description below, there was a link to the Mesh Toolkit and its plugin. If you don't have it already, you should go get both of those and install it. If you are there already, good. One thing we'll need also is a base for these pants. So ideally what you'll want is either a pair of shorts or a pair of pants that are the same length. You can probably find the pair of pants somewhere in my downloads. You can definitely find them like anywhere on Tumblr. For me, I'm just going to use what I have already because like I said, I've been converting these, so I already have kind of like a base. And we'll kind of fix it along the way. So we're going to go to Select File. Auto Tools for WSO, Auto Assign Bones. So our mesh to modify will be this one, AFNJ, and our reference mesh. So for me, I'm just going to go into what I've already converted and find a pair of, these are actually the ones I think I'm going to end up using instead and just cut them off. To make a reference mesh, it's the same process. Oh, this is a mess, you guys. I'm so sorry. So I'm grabbing the joggers from basically the same pair of pants. These just are cut off. And this is the adult has joints. So we're going to go ahead and replace all bone assignments and do assignments and save. And then routing back to my regular folder where I'm working out of right now. This now is adult female has joints. So we can close out of that, delete our old one, import from TSRW object, our new one, adult female has joints, bam, the same thing, but now has joints. You never want to edit these top ones because again, it has to align with the Sims 2 top, otherwise it's going to look really bad. The bottom has to stay on the top. So whatever is at the top has the priority. Let's say I wanted these up at the top. If I have the pants at the top of the group, if they had the priority, this is what happens. The waist is going to go to it. Whereas if I have them both selected and I put the pants on the bottom, the pants go up to the top. So whatever is higher in the group has the priority. Let's go ahead and merge the vertices to this bottom row. I want to change the front for right now. I want to change the projection to top. Select the bottom row, the row of the pants. And you can kind of see where that line is from where we were working. Now that we have what we need selected, you're going to hold down Control, press I on your keyboard. That's going to invert the selection. So now everything else is selected except what we had previously. And then you're going to hold down Control and then press H. So now it hides the selection, or hides everything but what we had previously selected. If it's difficult to see, you can do it from the 3D viewport. If you don't want to work from this area. I think this is a little bit more linear and easier for me now, but I used to go ahead and just select them directly from here. You can also go into preferences, file preferences, and change your vertex. You can select them from here by just holding and dragging left mouse button, but because we've limited the view to only what we have selected, it won't grab anything from like down here. So we're gonna go ahead and keep the bottom on top and press, you're gonna go up to vertex, and then you should have these plugins, Sims 2 Unimesh Vertex Data Merge. I have shortcuts for them, so all I have to do is press V. But now it's merged. In the same breath, you're going to go back to Vertex and do Sims 2 Unimesh Normal Data Merge N. So now, if I didn't do that, it looks like this. Bad normals, like this, the normals for this are different than the ones for this. So now with bottom on top, pressing N, now my Sims 4 mesh is going to align with the Sims 2 as far as normals and data. And by data, it's talking about the bone assignments. So then we're just going to keep doing that. We're going to keep going around. So now this is where it starts to start its incline. I'm going to go down one more. And I don't want to go too low because it just goes way too low for me. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to go ahead and grab these and move them up. So click on move. Y is up. X is left or right. Z is forward and back. So I just want to go up. And maybe Z. Yeah. So my Sims 2 waist is still looking good. Again, you can do all this because it's not on the top. That's why it's okay. Okay, so now the bottom has been on the top. But because it sits much lower, I am going to go ahead and put my bottoms on the bottom and merge it again. And I'm just pressing V for vertex merge. I am not pressing the normals. We're going to go to click on your group base. And we're going to go to materials. And we're just going to check to make sure that nothing looks off. And, one thing I didn't do, and I normally do it in Blender, and I do this I do it every time. I need to edit the picture. Because right now it's at 1024 by 2048, which is way too big for Sims 2. So I'm going to edit with Paint 3D. And we're going to crop. We want it to be cropped to a 1:1 ratio. Make sure it's 1024 by 1024 height and width. And we're going to go ahead and click done. And go ahead and open it for your material. So obviously now it looks like this. We're going to go into Window, Texture Coordinate Editor. And we're going to route to our group _base. So now it looks like this. You're going to go to Scale. And I like to lock X so it doesn't go out. I just want it to go up. X locked. We're going to put a 2 into the second box and hit scale. What? Oh. It's because those vertex are hidden. The vertices are hidden. I'm sorry. Hide, unhide. Now the entire thing should be selected. There we go. I'm so sorry about that. So while the whole thing is selected, no hidden vertices. There we go. You may want to stop here, but you cannot. Even though this looks like it's mapped, when you put that into Body Shop, it will come up blank. So with that in mind, you need to go to move while X is still locked and move it up and over your mesh. And you can zoom in to just make sure that you're getting it all over the mesh. Right. So one thing too, I noticed I didn't weld this one. So if we take a look at it, yeah, so it's like curving in and stuff. So we need to fix it regardless. One thing too I noticed as well, this one right here curves in. I'm gonna just move that forward just a little bit. Now what we need to do is get rid of pieces of the body that are not visible. We know that everything below the top row needs to be deleted. Let's go ahead and hide the group base. So these group of faces need to stay. If you want to be sure which ones you're grabbing, you can go to select and then face, and then just select there. So I'm going to switch this back over to vertex select, and we're going to go inside of his legs. I'm using control to go up, down, left, right on a singular plane. Shift to zoom in and out. by also holding down left mouse button to do so. Let's hide the body. And I'm just going around and selecting all the vertices. And now what I want to do is press V and then N. And this brings them all together. Can't go up from this screen. It can only go left, right, back, forward. I want to put it right in the middle. It's lifted up high enough that it won't peek out or anything. And I'm going to do that to the same. And what I'm noticing here is that I can just select them from this menu as well. It's pretty open hole. You can do Control N to snap them and then N. But I end up having to do Control V anyway for the joints or the bone assignments. Maybe I'm wrong on it, but... And again, see, most of this part is not even visible. Let's girl boss this and just delete this. Bye-bye. Okay, but we're going to go back into Blender. I know. So what we need to do first is put in our comments, because this came from TSRW object. If we don't do this, it can sometimes like mess up your mesh. So there should be codes for meshes link. You're going to want to copy the model name part that has no blend and put that in your group base comments. And we're going to change this to bottom_alpha. Leave everything else the same. The model name changes to bottom_alpha. Copy it, put that name right over here and rename it. So we're going to export Sims 2 Unimesh exporter. And we're going to name this JoggerBem. Let's go ahead and go to File, Open. And within your within the description, there should be a link to Blender body bases. We're going to open up the adult female body base, AF. And now we're going to import our mesh we're working on. Because we did the remove doubles and you know, edge splitting and stuff, when we brought it in, it made it worse. It's okay. Open up in the outliner, open up your mesh here and click on bottom alpha, remove doubles. And if everything looks good, we're good. Again, that messed up our normals up here, but it's okay. We'll fix it again. So first things first, we want to fix the length of these. Oh, I'm so sorry. So to put a texture on, you're going to click on the material node and go to new. And we're going to go click on shadeless and then click on transparency down here and then turn alpha all the way down. And then right next to it, you're going to click on the checkerboard, otherwise known as texture, and click new. And we're going to go to open under image, open, and route to our swatch that we edited. And scrolling down till you get to influence, you're going to turn on alpha. Come over here where we were with edit mode. Right next to it, there's a circle or a sphere. And it says method to display shade objects in the 3D view. Right now it's at solid. We want texture. So now our sim has a textured, well, it's not really our sim. Our mesh has a texture. Okay, so first things first, let's go ahead and edit this mesh to cover the back of his knees on both sides, but it doesn't like yank the texture down. Right, so now the back of his knees are covered. You're going to click on armature now. We're going to use it, and we're going to go down here where it says object mode. We're going to go to pose mode. So now we can start to pose our lovely mesh. You're going to click on this line right here. This is his hip. Now that we have it in pose mode and we have, by clicking right mouse button, we've selected the hip. We're going to press R and we'll bring it out. So I'm going to try to put them at the same. And there we go. So now we know what we need to work on for weight painting. While that's posed, we're going to go back to bottom alpha. And we're going to click on the funnel triangle dot thingy, otherwise known as data, object data node. And this is where we will see our joints. Down where it says object mode. you're going to go to weight paint. Just verify in edit mode that you have the mesh selected, which I don't. So click A and then tab back to weight paint, or go back down here and go to weight paint. Just so I can see which vertex I'm selecting, you're going to come over here and there should be a box with 4 or 5 dots. It says face selection masking for painting. And we're going to click on that, and now we can see our vertex. You can also come over here and just see the individual vertex instead of the face as well. I just prefer this. Weight of whatever I select will be at the maximum. So 100% of this vertex would go to the right thigh. But I can do that in increments if I opt to change the strength. So as it is, if I do that and then get a normalize all, it puts it at 100, which then that means I have to go in and kind of fix this so it doesn't look crazy. So I don't want to do that. So I'm going to do Control Z and Control Z again to bring it back to where it was. And I'm going to reduce strength. And you can do it in increments and just kind of go, as you please. One other thing too is I can press down Control and left mouse button, and hovering while I'm over it, I can see what is this vertex at. So this weight is at 0.95. So if I turn my strength all the way up and do that for this, normalize all, it aligns with it. So I just keep doing that for the ones that I need to do it, if that makes sense. That's a good. So let's do this, and then let's go ahead and bring our strength down again, and just kind of work it slowly so it looks like it's stretched, because you want it to look, you don't want it to be like a straight line, or like going right to it. You don't want it to be blocky, but you also don't want it to continue to look the way it does. So we're just going to select those. Bear in mind that whatever's behind this, you may be selecting that as well. So just keep in mind, we're just looking at it forward, but we need to keep in mind the back too. So I think that's a good shape for our right side. Now let's go to our left. And then before we go anywhere, we're going to limit total. And this makes sure that there's no vertices with extra weights, because if it does, it will not export. And let's go back to the armature, turn it back on. And I'm going to go ahead and do Control A to deselect, and then Control A again to reselect. Then we're going to come down here where it says pose mode. We're going to go to pose, clear transform all. One thing also I want to do is fix the texture for right here, because as you can see, I didn't do it and it's pulling it and it looks bad. From the top part here, there should be 3 lines. You're gonna click on it and drag it, and then down here at the bottom of one of your screens, you'll see a box, a box for it'll say current editor type 3D view, and you're going to change that again to UV editor. From the 3D editor where we were, you're going to click on your bottom alpha. Let's go to edit mode, and it is selected. And again, click on your keep UV and edit mode in sync, and let's find right here, we want to select the disconnected ones. And remove doubles didn't work, so we're going to weld. Click on the main part here. We can't just click on bottom alpha now, we have to click on the main part. If it helps to visualize this. And then File, Export, Sims 2 GMDC, and back. I would suggest to save it as a new file. Don't, keep backups basically. In Milkshape, we're going to delete bottom alpha and then import our Blender that we just saved. That's okay. Yes, we want to correct it. Keeping your old bottom, delete the new bottom that was imported. Blender has a habit of, messing with the normals, even if we didn't. So delete the one that was imported and keep the old one. So now you can see here what happened when we remove the doubles is that there's an obvious normals issue around the behind. You're going to select the row. Make sure bottom is always on top now because we're going to copy our old bottoms normals to the new pants. So with that row selected, Control I, Control H. Now they're all hidden. And you come over here and frame selection. So again, we're gonna VN, VN, VN. There's a tutorial on how to set up shortcuts in Milkshape so that you don't have to click, 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 click. It's fairly easy. Okay, so now that seam is gone and it's very much now looks like one mesh, which is what we ideally want. When we first imported it, it said the skin weights are off. So let's go ahead and run it through the mesh toolkit. So delete your bottom. Again, change this to group _ base. I know this is so much work. Rename, File, Export, TSRW object. And then put it back on AFNJ. Control Z to get your bottoms back. Now we're gonna go back to the mesh toolkit and we wanna select the one that needs joints. And for our reference, we're gonna select the one that needs joints. Because what's happened with Blender is it flipped the weight assignments. So on some of them, the weakest weight assignment is at the top and the strongest is at the bottom, which I've not always had an issue with that. I have it more with hair, but it's good just to run it against itself. So go ahead and do assignments and save. And then I'm just going to keep this as a backup and put AFHJ2. That's in case I royally mess something up. Now, we're done with the mesh toolkit. We're going to go back and do our comments and copy this and then delete. Now all you have is bottom, File, Import, TSRW object, and we're going to import our new pants and then put our comments back on that. Rename it with our comments, and that's basically that part. But let's just go ahead and see how this plays in game. So File, Export, Sims 2 Unimesh Exporter. We'll call this Jogger AF No Morphs. Save. From the description, there should be a link to mesh references if it's not already, something. Since these are bottoms, we're going to do adult bottom mesh. Copy. And we're going to go into our little workshop area and paste it. And then let's rename it. You can name it whatever you want. Hey everybody, so I'm back to editing this video like a month after it recorded, and I realized at some point I messed up my video. This mesh is already done. So it's probably going to look a little bit different than what you've seen. Then we're going to go ahead and open it up. Once you're in here, you're going to select all of these. Right click, clone. Right click, delete. Then you're going to go ahead and save. We're going to fix integrity. And I keep the same naming convention, the original creator and its name, the name of the mesh itself, and then the age and Sims gender. You're going to press update and OK. And then clicking on the GMDC or GMDC over here to limit your view, we're going to copy the file name. And then we're going to go back up to the GMDC, right click, replace, and route to your mesh. So obviously I've worked on this since then, but this is actually the one that I did with you guys. So with no morphs here, we're going to go ahead and press open. It's going to ask if you want to replace it. We're going to say yes. And coming back down to the file name, we're going to paste the old file, or the new file name, excuse me. And you should see your bottom and your bottom alpha, which are your two subsets. And we're going to hit commit. In previous videos, I've said you need to press fix TGI, but that's what fix integrity does. So no need to do it twice. Then we're going to go ahead and save. Okay. And we can go ahead and exit out of here. And then we're going to take our mesh and we're going to cut it and move it into our downloads folder. All right, so there's our mesh. And we're going to go into Body Shop because we need a recolor now. Once that's loaded, you're going to go to Create Parts, Start New Project, Create Clothing. And we're going to go to Female, Adult, Everyday, Pants, and this is the actual final product. But we're going to go ahead and use the same one here and just take the shoes off basically. So from there we're going to do, let's name it Shorts AF Old. You can name it whatever you would like. I just don't need it. Alright, so once we've exported that to the game, we're going to go ahead and quit Body Shop. I'm sure I want to quit. And let's go into our saved Sims folder. Your saved Sims folder, you'll see your recolor. Let's open that up. And once that's open, we're going to click on 3D ID. Just one click and wait for it to load at the bottom. And once it's loaded, we can go ahead up here to Tools, PJSE, Body Mesh Tool, and Linking Stage. You'll get a pop-up saying after you've linked it, do not commit, do not save it, just click off of your 3D ID. And route to your workshop where you have, or excuse me, route to your downloads folder where you have your mesh. And we have our mesh here. We're going to go ahead and open that. Now close it without committing and then go to a different area. For us, we're going to go to bottom alpha. Normally this would not be the same texture. So what you would want to do is we're going to go to build DXT. You should have the plugin. If not, it's linked below. Open image. Route to your workshop area. And let's go ahead and pick the pink ones. And then we're going to go ahead and commit and save. And then escape. And then let's go directly into the game and test it from there. And there we go. So I think I fixed this before, but in the new one, but there are some dark spots on the inner kneecap area. Wait, why does... Oh! So I added the shoes onto my old No Mores, but ideally this would be, it would just be the socks on her plain feet, but I've already converted it over what we had worked on. But the most important part's the shorts. And if we zoom in on Miss Thing, she's all connected right at the waist, right where we put her. And yeah, so she can do a little entertaining for us. And we can kind of see how her inner thighs move and everything like that.
Oh, no, no, bidnin. Gotta do the back and look and I sitting. Gotta bote, maragote, go to Jeep.
And that's it. We did it. I hope this tutorial was worthwhile. Sorry it took so long, and sorry it is so long. I hope you have a great day, and know that you're important. And yeah, goodbye. See you next time.